Welcome, everyone. It is 11/11/2024. This is Cindy. This is an open door. And this is the hour where we tend to pull an idea or a concept or a teaching from A Course in Miracles, and we talk about it relative to how it can color and shift and change our experience of today in our life. Last week, we had an extraordinary conversation about cause and effect. And as a group, at least this is my memory, as a group, we decided to continue this one little tidbit of cause and effect. As such, one of the things I did, and I am going to play a song, Barbie, so you still have a job in just a minute. But one of the things I did is I went on, my Kindle app and I did a search, and those words, cause and effect, they come up 25 times. Now, if you just do cause, it's like crazy 1,300 times or something. I don't know. It was a number higher than I took on, but there's 25 different references to this idea of cause and effect. And because of what happened last week, I'm focusing today's teaching on two specific paragraphs. And while we're playing the song, I figured I'd tell you what those paragraphs were in case because I'm going to read them even because it's only two paragraphs, in case anyone wanted to know what they were. So that's what I'm doing now, especially since I already told Rana and Amy so that they had a little prior warning. Which reminds me, perhaps there's a way to communicate to those who show up every week. If you want to know when the teaching shows up before we get here, let me know and maybe we'll figure out how to do that. In any case, two paragraphs I will be reading from the Purple Book, Chapter 26, Section 7, a review of the laws of healing, and it's paragraphs 13 and 14. And while you're doing that, I'm going to hit pause and I am going to play a song that is entitled Awake My Soul from the Mumford & Sons. So, I guess Livy, if anyone loves that. It's a song worth watching. It's a lyric video, so you might, I was glad when it showed up. So let me hit the pause button on the record. There we are. And we'll play Wake My Soul. I forgot on purpose, Barbie, just so that you could remind me. Because I'm perfect. Flash. Perhaps Cindy has someone to remind her, cause, right. I don't think I knew that song before it showed up in my space to play it today. But what a perfect pointing. Yeah, where you invest your love, you invest your life. The world out there is lies, Paragraph 13, what has been kept apart can never join. Cause and effect are one, not separate. God wills you learn what always has been true, that he created you as a part of him. And this must still be true because ideas leave not their source. It's amazing how many of the key phrases from the Course are right here in these first couple of lines, right?
Sorry, could you give me the page again?
Well, in the Purple Book, it's page 792.
Thank you.
Paragraph 13. What has been kept apart can never join. Cause and effect are one, not separate. God wills you learn what always has been true, that he created you as a part of him. And this must still be true, because ideas leave not their source, such as creation's law, that each idea the mind conceives but adds to its abundance, never takes away. This is as true of what is idly wished as what is truly willed, because the mind can wish to be deceived, but cannot make it be what it is not. All right, I'm going to try to read this line without crying. And to believe ideas can leave their source is to invite illusions to be true without success. Nor ever will success be possible in trying to deceive the Son of God. The miracle is possible when cause and consequence are brought together, not kept separate. It's fun how in the first paragraph, it literally says cause and effect are ones, not separate. And here we're being told that the miracle is possible when cause and consequence, or cause and effect, are brought together, not kept separate. Where are they ever separate? The healing of effects without the cause can merely shift effects to other forms. This is not release. God's Son could never be content with less than full salvation and escape from guilt, for otherwise he still demands that he must make some sacrifice, and thus denies that everything is his, unlimited by loss of any kind. Tiny sacrifice is just the same in its effects as is the whole idea of sacrifice. If loss in any form is possible, then is God's Son made incomplete and not himself. Nor will he know himself, nor recognize his will. He has forsworn his Father and himself, and made them both his enemy and hate. Cause and effect are one, not separate. The miracle happens when you bring cause and effect together. Just those two lines. Like I gotta tell you, it's making my head hurt. There's a sense here that says, I ain't the miracle, I'm a Cindy living a life with problems to solve. To be a Cindy living a life with problems to solve, you'll get a worldly example. To be a Cindy in the world with problems to solve requires either the belief that somehow I am separate from God, or B, there are problems in God that God somehow needs a Cindy to solve. Furthermore, just these two lines state that the cause and the effect, or the cause and the consequence, are one. They're the same, and we talked about that a lot last week, right? The Father is not a father until the ascension of the Son. Without the Son, the Father is no longer labeled the Father, right? They're one. And then the second line that says, you want a miracle? Just bring cause and effect together. Like, it makes my head hurt. But it also stated just in those two paragraphs that the only place that cause and effect are not one is in the illusion. So I'm going to take a break because there's 3 hands up. And hey, Andrew, this is so fun that we get to have these conversations every week.
Yes, I love it. Well, you kind of answered what I was going to say, or you kind of already said what I was going to say, that the cause and effect only happen in the illusion. In heaven, all thoughts are shared by the whole, so everything increases. But these chapters, like 26, 27, they seem to be dedicated to the miracle, to healing. And I think it's about healing of the body as well as the mind. And in this illusion, we think that the body is the cause of sickness. We think the body feels pain, it can be injured, it can hurt, it could get sick. But what these chapters are trying to tell us is that the body is not a cause, it is an effect. And as such, it can cause sickness. Now, how we're supposed to control it, that's another problem. That's the miracle. And that is healing. But these chapters are dedicated to healing. And that's really all I could contribute at this
But what's
time.
cool, based on what you just said, Andrew, is that in these two paragraphs, it said, you want the miracle? Just remember that the cause and the effect are one. It's still making, it feels like my head wants to split open. It doesn't hurt. There's just this pressure happening. Because what happens is everything that is being spoken here can be manifested in form. Like this head, this system is like having a field day with trying to avoid that or something. I don't know. Amy.
I love this discussion, and I thank you so much for bringing this to the table. This is like, this is the nutshell, and it reminds me so much of Tony Parsons' talk and his what he said essentially. Cause and effect are one, not separate. Such is creation's law, that each idea the mind conceives but adds to its abundance, never takes it away. Rana asked for a real life example, and this goes right back to what we were talking about before this session started. Even pain, even suffering, everything that appears to happen without exception is, as someone I used to know would say, grist for the mill. It is all an experience that we have as an apparently separate person or entity that is given back to source to do with as it will, which is us. It's a complete circle. So even pain, the experience of apparent suffering, is an experience that adds to the wholeness and completeness of source, which is everything. That's what this says to me. And so what is awakening? Awakening, which never ends. Awakening is allowing all experience without exception in an ever widening circle of awareness. Right? So allowing, being aware of all experience, even the most minute, all experience that arises now and now and now and now in an ever widening circle of awareness. Because isn't that what source is? Source, which knows all, is all, moves all. Its circle of awareness is limitless. And so the more that we allow all that we experience in an ever widening circle, deepening, expanding circle of awareness, the more we match source. Right? And that's this experience. We are increasingly, awakening is just becoming a match for source energy, to use words. And that's what I'm getting from this right now. Love us.
I had an experience I did 2 dyads this morning, and then the second one, I heard Cindy say, I was comparing who I was in the dyads now to 4 years ago. And I said, it feels like for me to try to imagine where I was 4 years ago would be like trying to fit my size 20 body into a size 2 pair of jeans. Like the energy feels so much more diffuse and larger now. And the idea of attempting to use my words, supposedly it's my word, to attempt to contract myself into the experience of 4 years ago, I don't even want to try. But that kind of sense is what is my vision of what you were just sharing, Amy. If it's not in alignment with that, but you'll tell us, right? Barbie.
Yeah, I still don't understand what cause and effect is. Every time I came upon it in the book, every single time, I always have to ask, what is it? I can't wrap my head around it. I have no idea. I think the effect is the outcome, but I don't know what the cause is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's talk to Andrew, and then I'm gonna share the rest of the stuff that's on I only have 1 page of notes and we're almost halfway through, and then we could talk about what you just asked.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I just remembered a little bit more of what I intended to say, because the Course says that the thinking of the world is the opposite of heaven. And earlier I said that the body is an effect, not a cause. We think it's a cause of sickness, but it's really an effect, and it's an effect of sickness. It's that the body is an effect of the sick mind that thinks it's separate from its source. So that's the reversal that the Course talks about, the reversal of thinking. I just wanted to add that because I think it's important. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So let me, Richard, first I'm going to see what Richard has to say. And if he doesn't say, I love us all, some version of that, I'll be disappointed. And that's my anticipation and expectation. And I'm putting it out there.
Morning, everyone. Race up, as we all agreed upon last week. For me, the effect is my experience as a separate self. The cause of my experience is the outside world. So, and that basically is what causes me to choose again. Because when I'm not at peace, I have to choose again to get in the right mind. And what recently has helped me with this idea is Keith Kavanaugh teaching. I've listened to him now for about 3 months or so, and on one of his podcasts, he breaks down the 4 splits of the mind. The first split was the idea that we had somehow separated from God. That was a tiny mad idea. And then the second split is, do I believe my experience as a split from my source, or do I believe that I'm still one with my source? That was the second split. And then that's when the ego was born. When I decided I'm going to believe in the separate self. And then the third split was, well, I don't like the idea of carrying all this guilt, because if I did separate from my source and I therefore killed God because God cannot be separate from me, then I must have created a sin and I must be guilty of the sin. And somehow God's going to come back and kill me in revenge. So instead of living with that in my mind, I decided as a separate self, the only one that ever existed and ever will exist, it doesn't really exist. But then I decided I'm going to split my mind again. I'm going to be the innocent self. which is the remembrance of what I am in truth, the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to be the innocent self, and I'm going to be a victim of all the sin, guilt, and fear of my world, of my mind. And I'm going to project all the sin, guilt, and guilt into the world and make the world. That's what the world is. So the world is a reflection of the collective mind of the one child of God manifesting sin, guilt, and fear. So what we now, that doesn't mean we don't have moments of joy and moments of love but in the dream, but as a dream figure in the dream, primarily what we're witnessing in the world is sin, guilt, and fear of the original split, the tiny mad idea. And the only way to get rid of that is to deny the fact that my experience is caused by the world. My experiences are caused by an inhaled mind. And in order to, because my mind decided to be the separate self. So if I can reconnect with my real self by rising above the battleground and then reuniting with the Holy Spirit, which is stillness, and then I can see the world as what it is. It is not the cause of my experience. It is the, because in reality, cause and effect are one. So, in order to be the love that I am in truth, I have to heal the mind, as miracle principle number 7 says, purification is necessary before miracles can be natural. And I do that by choosing again every time I experience anything less than love or peace. I reunite with the Holy Spirit in my mind, become that one, and then project or ascend, rather, but love, peace, and joy I am in truth onto the illusory world. And then I can perceive in all my experiences all the peace, love, and joy that I am in truth. But until I do that, I will continue to experience pain and suffering because I believe the individual self is real and the world is real. I love you all. I just was prompted to share that.
Thank you. Well, I could die happy today now because Richard loves me. And you think I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. Every day that I don't hear it, I notice. Okay. Let's look at these notes. I love the clarity of that teaching, Richard, and how it, one of the things that it showed me is that regardless of what perception I am viewing this teaching from, whether or not I'm coming from the we're all God, or I'm coming up from the dream character, or I'm hanging out in between in the Holy Spirit, the actual solution is the same. Accept the truth, right? Choose again. So it's really, really cool. That's very valuable for me. Thank you. So I'm gonna read these few lines of.
I say one more thing. I remembered something I wanted to say. When you rise above the battleground, you forgive yourself for believing you were the separate self in the dream, the character in the dream. First, you forgive yourself, and before you can forgive the world, you have to forgive yourself. So that's all I wanted to add. Love you all.
I love you too. So I'm gonna, unless Rana, did you want to say anything before I do this? I know that your life is busy today, so you're sitting right now, so I wanted to give you a chance.
And so I've got like 2 statements that I have garnered from everything I've been listening to, so I would love to hear people's guidance. So the miracle is the realization there is no problem to solve. That's statement one. And statement two, just from Richard, if it came in, the unhealed mind makes the seeming effects. It's not creation, right? I've been kind of going through this thing in the last couple of weeks about create versus make. And there's just some kind of juiciness there. So I'm being very careful about those words. But just wanted to offer up those two statements. With the fear that the student is rearing her ugly head and she's trying to understand, but at the same time want to feel if there's clarity.
Right.
How's that?
So while I was listening to you, I wanted to invite you, instead of using the word create or make, play with the word project. Just play with it, because they're all words. So the unhealed mind, and listen to this. So Barbie, here's part of the answer as it's coming through me. In the ultimate truth, there's just peace and joy. Like, I am the light of the world. God is all there is. The ultimate without the experience. If your mind was wholly healed, if your mind is wholly healed, you get that? Cause and effect, absolutely. There's no separation between cause and effect. It's a dance. So if the mind is wholly healed, then experiences are happening in consciousness, and you fully experience them while they're happening. They have no remnant, nothing to stick to. And in the next moment, you're part of a different experience, and you're not being pulled into a mind that tells you they don't like me, or I wonder what tomorrow's going to be like. Do you get that? So in a wholly healed mind.
Well, I was told, I don't know who told me, but someone said that I am the cause of everything. Is that true? I don't know.
No, it's not a worthwhile thought to hold on to.
Okay,
Just because the you that's referring to can be any number of an infinite number of yous, depending on what level confusion.
okay, so someone told me something that I'm clinging to. Okay, that's
Just let it
gone.
go. Just let it go.
May I add one more thought? As you were doing this, right? You've got this one thing that's arising. It might be painful. It might just rip your heart apart, right? It might be the most joyful experience you ever had that rises and it falls. And
Yeah.
what Amy said, that just adds to the abundance of experience within awareness. It's just constantly having more and more experience. And I think I'm separate having it, but really it's just part of the one thing going on with more possibilities and infinite whatever.
And just in this space of knowing that we're all teachers, we're all students, we're all sharing this information. As I was listening to you, it's Sandra's teachings that started to light up for me, because there were a whole bunch of stories 10 years ago I would have been afraid to experience, right? What happens when my children's father dies? What happens if I can't pay tomorrow's bills? What happens if I get really sick and I don't have insurance? You know, I've lived through all of those stories, right? The most intense part of any one of those experiences is the story and the thoughts, like the fear of them, the fear of living that life. And somehow Sandra's clarity in the sense of allowing me to be fully miserable today, or allowing me to be fully joyous today, or allowing the anger to come up, or that, like, without telling me that I should be anything other than I am right now, is part of the dance, right? So without when the mind is wholly healed and Cindy's world is Cindy's story is in crisis, something horrible just happened somewhere, then Cindy gets to experience all of that in the moment, and cause and effect are one. When the mind is unhealed, Richard's teaching, this mind is unhealed. There are all these beliefs and thoughts about how this moment has to be different than it is. And I am the cause of all the horrible things. And if I separate from God, because an unhealed mind has this belief somehow that it's not, that it's separate from its source, that I, separate from God, has to figure out how to fix this. I, separate from God, am guilty because this is happening, or I, separate from God, is a victim because of this, whatever the story is, right? It projects out onto the world this storyline. And the ego, the unhealed mind, will tell you that that world is the reason you're suffering. And it makes the world the cause of your effect, which is how you're feeling in the moment, your story. This teaching tells you, no, reverse that, reverse that. Your belief in here that says somehow God kicked me out, or I left God, or I'm too unworthy of whatever the story is. There's an infinite number of ways it shows up. That comes first. It projects out and creates a world so that you could see. And in that, on that level, the cause is my feeling of unworthiness. The effect is the world I see. But then, just like Richard clearly said, the solution with both of that, Richard used the word rise above the battleground. In my notes, I said, you know, practice the presence of God. Remember the truth. Hang in the borderland. Choose again. Do a root cause. It doesn't matter. The moment we accept that the truth is true and the current experience seems to indicate otherwise, we can slow down. We could rise. We could rest around. We can choose to see things differently. The key thing to this teaching for me, more than anything else, is I'm going to trust the teaching. That's the ground of my being now. So the ground of my being is that what Jesus is teaching us in this book, or actually in all of the teachers I'm looking at now, they all say the same thing. At their core, they say all is well. You've never left your source. You could not have possibly left your source. And in my head, part of that line is, okay, Cindy, what is it you think God needs your help with today? What part of the, I've now got a name, the Emma Stolen car loop, do you think God is waiting for you to take care of? Rana was asking for a real life observation. This morning, this teaching dropped me into this space. Oh, there's no worldly action for you? Great, stop thinking about it. Oh, it's in your awareness again. Is there any action you have to take? Nope, let's choose again, over and over and over again. That's my current real, and I'm just laughing at it now because Richard told me that's how I know I'm healing. When the loop becomes really funny. But that's my current real life. Any belief that God needs Cindy's help, that I am separate from God and I have to earn my way back, that I am a victim of the world I see, any of that, my current intention, and this is the only part more and more that I'm learning, my intention is to know that that is an illusion. I'm still playing it out, but if I can rest in knowing that I've never left my source, and any indication that I got a problem separate from God to solve is an illusion, then that as my ground, I can be in the present moment. I could rise around above the battleground. I could choose again, whatever the current practice du jour is. Any of them will work if you set the intention that the truth is true, or some version of that. Hey, Chuck.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because what you just recently were sharing really landed heavy with me and what I've been experiencing. The one thing you didn't say that has been popping into my head as I've been going through this was, I heard you say this from time to time before, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. And I've been relying on that. That's popped into my head here recently. I've been relying on that strongly. Thanks.
Nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And it's so interesting though, Chuck, right? How we can say that and rest there and turn around to it. And somehow the imposter self, the ego, what I've been calling the self-referencing eye filtering system, still is having something is still feeding it, right?
Yes,
But it's weakening.
exactly.
It's weakening. And in this, I can't believe somebody assigned a 2.5 hour Rupert Spira video for Thursday, but I've been listening to it in small chunks. And I was so grateful because I think it was even just where I was listening this morning. He said, just show up and do this work and it's going to work on you gradually and you're not even going to notice. It was kind of neat to hear. I've heard a lot of other teachers point that out. I've heard Cindy point it out. It was kind of neat to hear Rupert talk about it too. It's a gradual rising in consciousness that the vast majority of us experience. We don't even notice it's happening until all of a sudden we look up going, wow, I can't believe I feel so neutral about that. Nadego's in the house. We're bottling the Nadego joy. I don't know if Amy's still listening, but we've decided to make it a thing.
Hi, everyone. Yeah. Actually, I'll just tell you the reason that I just for my joy is that I remember I was like, oh, I can choose to have fun, or I can choose to not have fun or struggle. And I was like, I like to have fun and joy. So I just decided I'm just gonna make my whole life that way. And so that was just honestly, that was just what I just was like. I'm like, I love to have fun. I'm gonna always have fun. Why am I not? I'm always gonna, so I don't know. I just decided that no matter what happened. And it just brought me so much joy. So that's, I was like, why am I not? Why? Let me be this joy that is fun. Why make life difficult? We can have fun. And so anyway, that's where it came from for me. I just wanted to also say that I just love whenever anything is happening that I don't like or Diego doesn't like, I just love just getting quiet. Just getting quiet. Remembering this love that I am and this peace and this joy. And that even though whatever is happening is not pleasant, that's not what I am. And yeah, so it doesn't matter what's happening. It doesn't, because everything is God and everything is love, even though Indigo doesn't like it. It doesn't matter. Yeah, always so great to be here.
Love us, Nadego. Hey, Richard.
Ray shared, and they go, I love that. Be the joy, be the love, be the truth. So wonderful. My understanding of what the Course teaches about afraid and make is ego makes things, spirit creates things. You have to be in the right mind to create. But what I had trouble with for a few years was I thought create meant make. I thought create meant I'm going to create experiences. I'm going to create a different world. Now I don't no longer believe them. There's only one thing to create: the remembrance of love that you are, and you're all it's already created. So that's all there is love, and no, you're not going to recreate a different world. You may repurpose the world by creating in your right mind, but you're not going to create a new world. The world is an illusion. It will never be created. But it will always be an experience of what you are not. So, and that's why it's a classroom, only a classroom. It doesn't have any reality other than teaching you to remove the blocks through love's awareness. And so I just wanted to add, that works for me. Love you all.
Twice, got it twice in this hour. Hey, Amy.
Did you just call on me?
I did.
Okay. So let me ask a question. How many of you have had a lucid dream? Okay. Okay. So I want to just share. So cause is an idea, and then we have the effect, right? Cause and effect. In a lucid dream that I had, I was in a lobby of a big, beautiful hotel, and I was lying on a cot, and I was watching everything go on, and I knew this was the most amazing lucid dream I've ever had. I knew I was dreaming, and I was awake in the dream. And in the dream, it arose in my awareness the thought that I didn't want to be alone. And I watched through the mind's eye a figure appear out of nowhere and move toward me. So I wasn't alone. So the cause of the thought, which was a cause of God, arose in this consciousness during the lucid dream. It would be nice to have someone else here. And then the mind that was in the lucid dream caused an effect, which was to have a woman emerge out of the ether and walk toward me. That is at this level, a symbol, an example for me of cause and effect. It arose in my dreaming mind. I didn't want to be alone. And then it arose from that thought, an image that came toward me. But in ultimate reality, big R, ultimate reality, all cause and effect is simultaneous. It is an act, it's a movement of creation. And in my dream, it was like that. It was instant. I had the thought, don't want to be alone. Someone's moving toward me. You know, that's just a microcosm for me of mind of God. It's the idea, and the idea happens. You know, God has an idea. The idea unfolds. It's right there. There's no separation from it whatsoever. So the dream world is still small r reality, but it gives us glimpses of big R reality all the time. You know? And it's such a pleasure to hold on to those and to learn from those. And I don't remember, Amy doesn't remember the dream. No, consciousness remembers. It arises in consciousness, and consciousness says, oh, it feels so good to remember what I really am. So we remember. Does that make any sense? Okay,
Very cool.
thank you.
Doesn't work, Sandra. I saw the hand go up. You can't like then put it down and pretend like it didn't go up when it was up. Hi, Sandra. Your hand was raised.
Sometimes somebody just says what you were going to say.
Doesn't mean we don't want to hear your voice.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I really like looking at each of you and the unique personality. I know we're all one, but there's this unique beauty in each personality too that's fun to be with, to use Nandago's word, fun. So in these two paragraphs, my honest reaction to them was, so what? It's like, to me, it was just kind of saying that cause and effect cancel each other out. They're really, you don't have to worry about cause and effect. If they're all the same. So, but what I did like, there was one line in here that was really good for me. God wills you to learn what has always been true, that he created you as part of him. And that, for me, is it. That's all of it. And when I identify correctly and truly with the source of my being, and when I embrace that fully and accept that whatever is happening in the experience, then the world is experienced differently. I may not be, I'm not changing the world, as Richard said, it's an illusion, but the world I'm experiencing is a different world. So I don't have to worry about cause and effect. Like, that's kind of where I came to with all of this. I don't have to think about it. I don't even have to figure it out, because I know who I am. Yay.
Yay!
Yeah, I know who I am. And so, I was listening this weekend to Richard Spira, and one thing he said, and I heard him say it before, but this really came to me when I read this line: he created you as part of him. He says that source is like light refracted into a million different things, different people, objects. It's refracted. And that word helps me to understand that what I'm experiencing now at this time, right now, in this body, is just a little piece of the whole, and at the same time the whole. And it feels, it allows all of that joy to bubble out, to just what looks like a problem in the world to the separated self and the separated mind really isn't a problem. And I can have compassion for the people who think it's a problem. I can have compassion for the mind that wants to even make it a problem. I can see it happening. Mind wanting to make it a problem. And I have compassion for her, for Sandra, who wants to make it a problem. But it's not a problem. It's, I don't know if I'm responding to these paragraphs, but this is just what came up for me right now.
Well, for me, it's leading me back to that one thought, like, what is it exactly that Cindy doesn't think God's got handled?
Yeah. And it's almost like, in response to that statement, it's almost like it doesn't even have to be handled.
Well,
It just doesn't even have to, it's,
it's being taken care of.
yes.
It feels as ridiculous as me right here worrying about where the oxygen that's in the air that I'm breathing is coming from.
So thank you for this. And I used to get tangled up in A Course in Miracles a lot. And someone told me along the way, and it was very good advice, just keep reading. What speaks to you. What you don't understand, you're not supposed to understand right now. I don't have to know. That's another big change of experiencing life. I don't have to know. Who would have thought? All those years of wanting to know, wanting to figure it out, taking more courses, reading more books. Thanks for listening, everybody. I love you too.
Oh, I know I'm making Richard special. I can't help it. It's not healed here yet. All right, Barbie, we've got 4 minutes. The question is, how confused are you?
Thank you, everybody. I think it's thinking through. I really do, because this is my story from before. I thought I was the cause of my breast cancer. I really did, because there was nothing in any, nobody in my family ever had it. But then it took me, like, after I went through everything, about 6 months later, when I was through, or after radiation, whatever, I came to the conclusion I was blessed to have it, because I helped people, because God was with me, because I always had him with me. Holy Spirit was there the first day. So I was blessed to have it, because I was helping people that were more afraid and more scared of what I thought it was nothing. It wasn't a big deal to me. Everybody else was. And it's like, well, so is that what cause and effect is? You think it's a cause, but it's not. But I combined the two, and that's what it is. I don't know. But what everybody was saying is, I understood it, but I still think I have to sit with it.
Yeah, or not. Remember what Sandra said? The
You don't
key
have-
thing is, what?
I was gonna say, you don't need to know.
You don't need to know.
So what were you gonna say about Sandra?
I was going to say the same. Sandra said that, there are
Yeah.
that within the Course in Miracles, there are concepts that are useful for us now on the path. There are some that will never be useful, and there are some that may be useful 10 years from now. So the key is, if you get yourself, and I think I'm quoting Sandra, if there's an idea like cause and effect that is currently feeling really tangled up in your mind, let's just accept that it's becoming what I used to call, I haven't said this word in a lot, egoic propaganda. And for me, egoic propaganda are those concepts, those ideas, I got to get the answer to anything that keeps the mind engaged in figuring something out. Is pulling you away from just being in the moment. So when I coined it as ego propaganda, so it could very well be this whole concept of cause and effect. Rest back, don't let it be mind candy, and just be in the beingness and hang with a tree, because that really works for you.
So just enjoy life, let it come and go. I'm dancing with life. That's it.
That's right. That's perfect. All right, Rana, final thoughts, all yours.
Final thought for my dear friend Barbie, right? What I hear is that we're becoming willing to drop the thought, I, Barbie, caused the breast cancer. And for me, in my example of life, right, I, Rana, had a broken baby, right? That's where I started, was to drop that thought. The idea that I'm powerful enough to have done that is crazy. So I just wanted to reflect back to you, Barbie, what I heard you say, and I think it's a great place to be, is in that willingness to, you know, who is it that I think made this experience happen, right? We don't have, little Rana, does not have that power. So I love you so much.
Mwah! We've had an hour. Woo! All right, tomorrow we have training wheels at 9:30 Eastern. We have 12 stepping at noon. And for anyone who didn't see the email, there is a new, we're starting reality check on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And even if you don't have the book, my plan is to screen share. It's the type of book that's best experienced as opposed to read. So it's not that long.
I won't be there Friday. I got a doctor's appointment, but I'll catch the replay.
I can't make 10, but you said it's gonna be recorded?
It will be recorded.
Yes,
All right.
I'll miss the first one also, and I don't want to miss it, but I had already made an appointment for Friday morning, so. But I'll be there in future weeks.
Yeah, the cool
Wasn't it your
thing.
idea, Sandra?
What?
No, it
Wasn't
was
it your
Richard.
idea?
Richard is the reason we made it Fridays.
Oh.
Hold on,
it's
I'm
Richard's
gonna
idea.
stop the record.